Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be walking you through how to use the Navigate Session mode on your Nixon Regulus Expedition watch. So what exactly is this mode? It's basically a combination of your altimeter, compass, and timer all in one mode screen that you can keep. What it's going to do is it's going to record your elevation changes during that session, as well as your high and low altitude, and as well as things like your speed, etc. Things like that we'll see when we get into it. I would think this would be a pretty beneficial feature for somebody who's maybe going out on a hike. You want to see how long you've been gone, what direction you're heading, what's been the altitude changes during your hike. Or maybe for somebody who's doing something like downhill skiing, where you want to do several different runs of skiing, and you want to see what was your first run versus your second run, so on and so forth. We'll see all of that once we jump into it. So it's pretty simple. The one thing I'll mention is before you do this, you want to go check your altitude interval sensor. The more frequently you have your altitude sensor reading, the better data you're going to get on the graph that's going to show your altitude changes. And we'll see that once we get into this. So I'm in my timekeeping mode. We're going to press the bottom left button, which is our mode button, and we are going to go down to Navigate Session. And again, we're going to press the mode button to select it. We get two options once we go into here. We can always review the previous session that we recorded, or we can go to start a new session. I'm going to just start a new session and then we'll review it once we're done with it. So I'm going to press the down button. I'm going to choose start a new session. As with your altimeter, the first thing you're going to see is to set your current altitude. Now it's using your altimeter sensor here and it's giving you your altitude reading. Normally you would just confirm this. If you happen to be on a mountain or something and you're at an actual altitude marker, you can adjust this up or down if you need to set it accurately. But I'm just going to confirm it. And now we are in our session. All we have to do is start it. You'll see at the top left corner is my compass. I can see my compass arrow as well as the direction that I'm facing. I can also see my altitude, my current time, and then down below here is going to be our altitude changes once we start the session. Once we're ready to start, all we're going to do is simply press the bottom right button, and we have successfully begun our session. Now you'll notice a couple of things. Down here on the bottom left, there's a down arrow. On the bottom right, there's an up arrow. Both of them have values next to them. What these values are showing is during this session, what has been my lowest altitude, what has been my highest altitude, and again, my current altitude. The graph here is basically showing that information along this session. Now, where I mentioned earlier, you want to check your recording interval. This watch gives you the ability to turn off the sensor interval or turn it down to a lower rate. So I've got mine reading every second, which means I'm getting a lot of information. If you've got your interval set to 5 minutes, you're not going to get as much information because it's only going to record your altitude every 5 minutes. So that's what I was saying is if you're using the Navigate Session mode, you'll want to check your interval parameters and make sure that you've got enough data coming in to be able to get a valid reading on this. It's pretty simple. The only thing that you're really going to be able to do here is if you're doing runs, for example, I'm in run number 1. If I wanted to do a second run, I can simply press the bottom right button. That will stop my first run, and it'll basically put me in kind of a pause mode right now. So let's say I was doing some skiing and I'm up on the lift, I'm going to the top of the mountain. I don't want to be recording that information. Once I get to the top and I'm ready to start going down, I can simply start another run, and now I've begun that information. It's recording that information. Once I get down to the bottom of the mountain and my run is over with, I can stop it and I can again start another run if I need to. You can start up to 10 runs per session that you're doing. You'll see on the graph down here, I've got the information from my first run, and then I've got a little area here that's not colored in, and now I've got it colored in again. This was the time that I wasn't in a run. So I had a first run, then I was paused here, and then I had a second run. But the graph will continue throughout the whole session, whether you're doing a run or not. Again, as I said, you can stop it. You can start it again, do as many runs as you want to. You'll also notice that my elevation is being shown in feet. You can change it to meters if you want to. That's one of the options under your unit settings. Once you're done with the session, you can simply press the mode button and you're going to get a couple of different options. You can review the session, you can review information about the individual runs, or you can return to the session and continue. I'm just going to go to review session to show you the information that you can see for the whole session. You can see my total time, starting altitude, ending altitude, what was the highest altitude I reached, rate, total up, total down. Now some of this information is not very good because I'm sitting at a desk, so we didn't get a whole lot of information. I wasn't moving. I wasn't really changing elevation settings. I'm going to go down to back. You can also review runs. So as we saw, I did 3 runs. If I want to go review any of those, I can just choose the one I want by pressing the mode button. And again, for that individual run, I can see my total time, my starting altitude, ending altitude, what was my high, low altitude, what was my rate, total up, total down. Kind of a cool feature, especially like I say, if you're somebody who's doing something like skiing or something like that. And then once you're done, you can simply exit the session and you've successfully got out of your navigate session mode. I'm gonna go back to my time mode and we are finished. If I go back into it, as we saw earlier, I'll be able to review my last session. That's the one that we just recorded. Again, the one that was previously there has now been wiped out with my previous session. I hope the video helps. If nothing else, it gives you an idea of what this mode does on the watch. As always, thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.